Let's start. Let's start today's agenda by reciting Basmala together. Today's session also will last approximately 100 minutes and 15 minutes break in the middle of session. Okay, everyone, without further ado, let's begin the event today by welcoming our moderator, Dr. Rani Ustiati, SPMP. Time is yours.
Good afternoon. How are you today, Jackie?
Good afternoon.
Okay, are you ready for delivering your lecture for today's session? We have our student ready here in our conference room,
Okay.
and
Yep.
we will continue discussing about yesterday topic, right?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, you have 15 minutes, and I will let you know when we will have 15-minute breaks. Please,
Okay.
it's yours.
All right. Thank you. Let me just share my screen first. Can you see my slide?
Yes, we can
Okay.
see.
Yes, so I guess we can continue, like we had a few slides left today. So, but before we continue to talk about the wetland soil methane emissions, let me just do a quick review about what we have talked about yesterday. So very briefly. So at the beginning, we talked about the importance of studying the global carbon cycle and talk about the linkage between global carbon cycle and climate change, right? And then we specifically zooming in on this soil pool, carbon pool, and soil carbon fluxes. So after that, I introduced the what is the difference between the century old view versus the new view about this soil organic matter accumulation and loss mechanisms. Remember, no, besides the SOM decomposition that would affect the soil organic carbon pool size, researchers have also found that the microbial carbon pump is another important mechanism for building up the SOC in the soil system. And then we continued talking about this like the influencing factors of the soil CO2 emissions. Remember, we introduced the soil CO2 fluxes. That is actually the sum of the autotrophic respiration plus the heterotrophic respiration. Okay, and we talk about how air temperature and the soil substrate can affect this respiration rate. All right, so that was the general content that we have briefly went through yesterday. So after that, we can continue to this another important greenhouse gas emissions that are from the soil component of the Earth system. So that is soil methane emissions and also uptake. And for the emission part, we know that the methane is mostly emitted from the wetland soil. So as you can see, this figure shows the global synthesis study on all these available methane flux measurement all over the world, including various type of wetland ecosystem, for example, drain, wetland, fen, bog, marsh, and even rice paddies. And through this large-scale synthesis data analysis, we can further investigate the seasonal methane flow pattern at different regions of the world. For example, in the northern high latitude, and indicated as this a blue color, like a deep blue color. And also maybe we are more interested in the subtropical region, the methane emissions from this large areas of wetland in the subtropical to tropical regions. And also, as you can see, this like in terms of the percentage of annual fluxes, we can see that the subtropical region actually have a comparable contribution to the northern wetland ecosystems. And with those, specifically during the summer and also like the warmer months, this this methane emissions from the northern wetland ecosystems contribute even more to the annual methane flux budget compared to temperate and subtropical regions. So, and again here, this is like from this big global synthesis study, researchers have found the importance of air temperature in controlling or in regulating the annual methane fluxes. So you can see we have got a strong linear relationship between annual methane flux and mean annual air temperature in terms of including all these various wetland ecosystem types. So, and another like also from this global synthesis study, so besides the dominant control of air temperature, the researchers have further found the importance of water table level or water table depths. So besides air temperature and soil temperature, the water table level is another important controlling factor influencing soil or wetland methane emissions as indicated from this PCA plots. So WTD here, as you can see, is like besides TS, soil temperature, and also besides TA, air temperature, the WTD water table depth is another important controlling parameters for methane fluxes. So that is the general description for this emission part. For example, most relevant to this methane production mechanism. And also, like I said at the from yesterday's lecture, the upland soil can act as a strong methane sink. So basically by oxidizing methane in the soil. So then we have find several like controlling factors on this soil methane uptake. So first of all, soil temperature again has a positive relationship with this soil methane uptake. But at the same time, soil moisture and also another relevant moisture parameter as precipitation can have a negative influence on this soil methane uptake. All right, and also it depends on the substrate availability and also this atmospheric methane concentration availability. So these two are like important parameters all have a positive relationship with methane uptake. And also it's quite dependent on the abundance of the methanotrophs in the soil. Okay, but so as you can see, there are various controlling factors on this soil methane uptake, and we may curious how researchers, like what approaches that the researchers have applied to get this important or interesting information out of from this, for example, from the data, from the literature review data, and also from this, maybe even including the process-based modeling approach. So I'm just giving some examples showing how, for example, how this soil methane uptake decreasing during this is about I think it's about more than like 20 or like a decadal decreasing of methane uptake, which is, and as you can see, this long-term decreasing trend, which is mainly based on this increased precipitation occurring during in that region. So, and this study was totally based on this long-term soil methane flux measurement together with other ancillary environmental measurements, including those like precipitation and all the other common other common weather parameters. So, and this is another like a simulation study, for example, to simulate the global methane uptake, okay, at a global scale. And the previous one is just at a site field specific field scale. So for this global scale simulation, we can see that for the historical increasing methane uptake increasing trend was mainly due to the temperature increases. However, if you look at this enhanced methane diffusion rate as following different modeling scenarios, so if we look at the worst case, the RCP 8.5, you can see we will have a like a extremely enhanced methane diffusion in the future. All right, so that is another example showing how we're going to use those process-based model to study the methane uptake patterns and mechanisms. And another one is another study shows like the how we're gonna investigate the soil substrate, the role of soil substrate in controlling methane uptake. So as you can see, this NL just indicate no litter fall. So the decreased, as you can see from this plot, the decreased methane uptake by the soil was mainly attributed to this litter fall removal. So without enough soil substrate, the methane uptake by the soil can be significantly reduced. So just showing several examples at different spatial scales and also using both measurements and modeling approaches to investigate important controlling factors on soil methane uptake. And here is like another study showing this global pattern, global spatial temporal patterns for this methane fluxes. For example, the upper figure shows the forest methane fluxes, and the lower one shows the grassland methane fluxes. Okay, and all this we are still focusing on this upland soil methane uptake. So very interesting information, as you can see from the upper figure. So this methane uptake fluxes is extremely high in this in South America, okay, and which you can see where we have a lot of, this is like actually the Amazon forest located, right? So and for the forest methane uptake, we got about 9 teragram per year. So huge amount of methane uptake by forest. And for the grassland soil can also act as a strong methane sink, but with a much lower methane uptake rate compared to the soil ecosystem. And also from this figure, we can get some interesting information. First of all, the increasing methane uptake from the 1980s to about 2010. So the increasing trend has been observed in this cool temperate dry and also warm temperate dry soils, and also in some in the polar and boreal grassland soils. And those increasing trend was mainly due to this increased air temperature during the past few decades. And also at some areas we have observed also the decreasing methane uptake trend, especially in this tropical dry grassland soils. And this decreasing trend was again due to the enhanced precipitation in these specific regions. So in other words, like the temperature and also the precipitation are again the major environmental controls on this soil methane uptake. Although we may have find this contrasting pattern or contrasting interannual variability in this soil methane uptake in different regions of the world. So when we talk about the underlying mechanisms, we may consider the methane uptake based on for example, the ecosystem types, whether it's forest or grassland, or also it is highly dependent on the regional climate conditions. So altogether, we have briefly talked about the soil CO2 and also methane fluxes, and people have worked so hard by putting together all these two important gas species and emissions from the soil system. So this is another synthesis study published in Global Change Biology, combining all the available soil respiration measurement and also other soil atmosphere greenhouse gas flux data. So for different, even including cropland, forest, and also other different wetland ecosystem. So all these data are compiled in this paper. If you are interested in this soil, no matter it's CO2 fluxes or methane fluxes, you can you can take a look at this paper, and also the data can be downloaded from their supplemental information. So that is something left from yesterday. And before we continue to this sustainable agriculture related topic, do you have any questions related to this general introduction on this soil carbon pool and fluxes topic? So if not, we can just continue to the next topic here.
Maybe we can continue to the next topic.
Okay, sure.
Because the students preparing the question already, maybe we will have the discussion session at the end of this lecture. So continue the lecture.
Okay. So based on the background introduction or some basic theories, concepts that have already introduced in the previous lecture actually. So now we can use we can continue to this sustainable agriculture and its dynamic carbon cycle. So then here you can use the previously introduced knowledge to really apply the basic knowledge to the real situation, and also to this very unique and interesting ecosystem type agriculture that most of you are interested in. And first of all, the learning outcome from this lecture is first of all, by the end of this lecture, I think each of you could understand the role of agriculture in global carbon cycle.
We could not see the new PowerPoint. Our monitor only displaying your previous PowerPoint, which is the question slide about your email.
Oh, okay. How about now?
Yes, now we can see your slide.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we continue to this sustainable agriculture and its dynamic carbon cycle topic. And first of all, again, the learning outcome. So by the end of this lecture, the students are expected to understand the role of agriculture in global carbon cycle. And secondly, so I hope the students could describe the unique features of agriculture carbon cycling study compared to other more natural ecosystem types. And the third objective is is to know, like, by the end of this lecture, students are expected to know the impacts of different management practices on agriculture, carbon fluxes, and also greenhouse gas emissions. And before we continue on this specific impacts, management practice impacts on agriculture carbon cycle. So let's just briefly talk about the role of agriculture in global carbon cycle. Okay, as we have already get a clear picture on these challenges and also the current status of global related to global carbon cycle study. So we know that the agriculture is largely distributed in the world, accounting for about 40% of global land area, as you can see from this global map. And also, like 1/3 of the area is characterized into crop cultivation, and another 2/3 for meadow and also pastures. So all these are all considered as agriculture in the global one of the global land cover type. So, and also as we know that the agriculture, I'm not sure if you still remember the table that I showed from yesterday's lecture, showing the global GDP and also global NPP table numbers. For example, we have found the highest global GDP in tropical forest, and also the global GDP is also higher in this tropical savanna and grassland ecosystem, remember? And then just closely followed by cropland, which is have like a very high GDP, which is even comparable or higher than temperate forest and also and also boreal forest. And it is also higher than the global and GDP on average. So on average, the agriculture accounts for about 15% of the global GDP, okay? So very productive ecosystem. And it is also the most active carbon pool with the very fast responses to human activity. All right. So compared to other natural ecosystem, for example, forest and grassland, it will react very quickly to the human activities. And also in terms of the soil organic carbon pool, it accounts for about 10% of the global SOC pool. And I'm not sure if you still remember the magnitude of the total global soil carbon pool. So it's about, I think, for the SOC is about 1,500 PG. I think it's PG carbon. Okay. So if you do not remember the actual magnitude, I will share my slides later on, so you can have like a reference about this important global carbon pool and also this global GDP distribution. And also for this, in terms of the role of agriculture in global carbon cycle, you can see that the cropland soil has a very significant role, and also one of the unique features is that the agriculture is simultaneously influenced by both natural and human factors. Okay, so very, very unique, and also this dual factors, influencing factor groups, will make the carbon cycle and also greenhouse gas or other related biogeochemical cycling processes even more complicated than any other natural ecosystems. So, and again, why we care about the agricultural carbon study? So I think it's very easy and straightforward to understand, because we need to meet the global food demand, this increasing food demand. So as you can see from this figure, it shows the increasing this is per capita calorie demand as a function of this GDP per capita GDP. So it is actually the global food demand is increasing very rapidly. Okay, and how much we will need in the future. So this figure actually shows a projection, which is about 100% increase in global crop demand by 2050. Okay, so a lot of food will be needed to support our human being. And for the current trends, as you can see from this as illustrated in this figure, so they talk about the current trends of global food demand or the current trend of agriculture status. They find that we have a greater agriculture intensification in these rich nations, and also greater land clearing, which we refer to extensification in like poor nations. So that is a very interesting pattern. Like for some nations, they work really hard to increase their food production by using or by optimizing their production in this fixed and limited agricultural farming area. However, in other nations, they just extend or they just increase their farming areas, well, maybe pay not that much attention on this production, this crop production per area. So that is maybe the major difference between the agriculture intensification versus extensification. That is one of the interesting story or findings stated in this PNAS paper. And also they have some make some prediction in the future that there will be about 1 billion hectare of land would be cleared globally by 2050. So by combining all these different intensification and also extensification in order to meet the future food demand, there will be still a lot of land converted to agriculture by 2050. So what is the consequence for this land conversion? So, and also they estimate there will be a large amount of greenhouse gas emissions occurring, and also there will be increased amount of fertilization use needed to meet this the increases in global crop demand by the middle of this century. So this paper just give us or this general introduction on this global food demand impacts just give us some idea about when we talk about sustainable agriculture. First of all, we need to increase the crop production. That is no doubt, because we really need the food. But at the same time, we need to consider what the environmental impacts would this no matter if intensification or extensification. So what kind of impacts can this management or can this agriculture ecosystem would bring to our environment? And here we just put a focus on, or for this specific lecture, we will be focusing on this greenhouse gas emissions as one of the important target that we will look at. So again, to fit the increasing need, so this figure shows the increase in cropland area, and also, as you can see, the cropland area has increased by about 9% already during the past 2 decades. And also at the same time, the cropland NPP have increased by about 25%. So as a consequence, about 50% of the new cropland area has actually replace the natural vegetation and forest. So from here is that you can see there is a clear trend about this how land cover change and conversion gonna like actually happens during the past decades. So that and we know that from the previous lecture when we talk about this global carbon balance. So remember, one of the largest important carbon source is from the fossil fuel combustion, right? Which accounts for about 90% of this atmospheric or this carbon source term at the global scale. And remember, another important carbon source is this land use and land conversion, which contributes to another 10% of this atmospheric carbon sources. Okay, so and this again is that if we have already have such a huge amount of land conversion, we really need to consider like how much greenhouse gas emissions or carbon emissions can be produced or can be like emitted from this actual land management practices. So then we have to talk the effects of land use change. So what would happen if someone or farmers convert the natural ecosystems to croplands? So I just give some information or give some examples from the previous study about this. For example, if you compare the grassland versus tilled cropland, no-till cropland, and even with different crop species, that if you compare the soil erosions or nitrogen losses or even phosphorus losses, we can actually get some idea what are the potential consequences that this conversion could bring. So first of all, just take a conversion from natural forest to croplands. Then we will get a reduced GPP. Remember, even if this one is specifically happened in this tropical area, remember we have a very high GPP number in this tropical forest, for example. Remember, so that is a very key information from yesterday's lecture. If we in this tropical region, if we convert the existing or the previous natural forest to cropland, we will obviously we will reduce the GPP. So we will reduce the amount of carbon uptake by the plants. And what else? At the same time, we will have enhanced greenhouse gas emissions. And we will talk about this later on about the detailed mechanism about how agriculture can produce a large amount of greenhouse gas emissions. But here is, if you still remember from the previous PNAS paper, that when we talk about in the future, we will need a lot of land and we will produce I think let's say 3 gigaton CO2 equivalent greenhouse gas emissions, and also large nitrogen fertilizer will be consumed. So that we just showed a few slides ago. And enhanced greenhouse gas emissions, what else? Actually, this is good. So we may have increased soil organic carbon content in the topsoil layer by, for example, you need to increase the nutrients and then to build up like to sequester more organic carbon into, especially in the top layer, to make your soil more fertile, then which will increase or improve the soil quality tank, which will in turn to increase the crop production. So actually, this is one good consequence compared to the previous more negative impacts from this land conversion. So what else? So based on these 3 figures, we have observed enhance soil erosion and nutrient loss that once farmers or people have converted from these natural ecosystems to croplands. So all these potential consequences for this land conversion. And then we will talk about because it's not a natural ecosystem, it's a managed ecosystem. So which is a which it has a very unique features compared to other ecosystem types. So first of all, what are the unique features that the cropland may have over rather than like or compared to this forest or grassland that ecosystem may not have. For example, the first one, the crop species are all selected, right? You can control what you want to grow, right? And this is also very good example about how we human being can manipulate these ecosystems and how this ecosystem could react or respond very fast to our human management practices. So we actually alter or determine the crop species. And you know that the different crop species may have different growth rate, and which in turn it has different GPP value, respiration value, etc. And also compared to other ecosystems, this cropland has a relatively low biodiversity, right? For example, mainly this monoculture like rotation would occur in some agriculture ecosystems, so low biodiversity. And also for this biomass allocation, we actually prefer the biomass allocation, for example, to seeds or to roots. So actually we have a preferential for this biomass allocation. That is another unique feature for this cropland ecosystem. So what else? The various management practices applied in this ecosystem, which will hardly or never occurring in other natural ecosystems, including we applied tillage, irrigation, and sometimes we may need fallow or fertilization, cover crops, crop rotation to this type of ecosystems. So then we have talked about this because of these unique features that is having complex influences on this carbon agriculture, carbon, and also biogeochemical cycling processes. In terms of the ultimate goal is we want to develop a sustainable agriculture, right? But how are we gonna take all these complex influencing parameters together to really evaluate what is or to really say what is sustainable agriculture? Then we will talk about what are the specific impacts or the specific parameters or evaluation criteria that we are interested in. And then we have to talk about this nature-based solutions. I think we have already introduced or talked about a little bit. I remember there was one student asking the CCUS in terms of climate change mitigation. Remember, during yesterday's lecture. So, and just by contrasting to this engineering-based or this technology-based solutions to mitigate climate change, agriculture, as you can see from here, is one of the important nature-based solutions to help climate change mitigation. Okay, so if you look at this agriculture with like, for example, trees in cropland, we know that in Indonesia we have a lot of area apply this agroforestry strategy, right? And also with this appropriate nutrient management and grazing and conservation in agriculture. So all these various combination of management practices could have a large potential to mitigate climate change mitigation. Once we have categorized this type of agriculture into nature-based solutions, then we are actually on the right track of how we can develop the sustainable agriculture in the context of climate change. So as you can see, this is another figure shows the potential or the reduction achievable at the cost at different costs. So no tillage and also reduced fertilizer all have a great potential to become a sustainable agriculture farming strategy. So then we can get a definition about what is actually sustainable agriculture we are targeting. So that means we need a set of management practices that can help carbon sequestration in cropland, right? So once you enhance the carbon sequestration, then at the same time you mitigate or increase the CO2 uptake from the atmosphere. So, and then by the same time, the agriculture should have the function to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions, including CO2, methane, and also N2O, right? N2O is another stronger greenhouse gas emissions, especially when for this croplands with heavy fertilizers, okay? Heavy natural fertilizers, then N2O will be produced, and then that is have a even stronger global warming potential than methane and CO2. So what else? What we expect to increase carbon sequestration in the cropland soil, and while mitigating greenhouse gas emissions, and at the same time maintaining crop yield and also soil quality and other environmental friendly targets, etc. So that is the general targets that we are trying to achieve if we really want to address the sustainable agriculture strategy. Okay, so and that is also the goal and the core contents about this lecture today. So then we can just keep talking about how each different management practices applied nowadays and what are the underlying mechanism that each practices may exert on this soil carbon cycles, and also from at the ecosystem level, how these different practices can affect greenhouse gas emissions in terms of CO2 and methane. So I think before we talk about the specific impacts, do we have any questions related to the previous slides? Okay.
Okay,
yeah.
but we have break for 15 minutes, then we can continue. And student will ask their question.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. Let's have break for 15 minutes to have lunch. Thank you, Jackie. See you after 15 minutes.
All right.
What is the mechanism of the increasing soil organic carbon due to the land cover change, and how long it will last? The increasing, it is exponential, or it might change by the time? That's her question.
In terms of the top layer SOC, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I think that is a good question. So I guess that depends on like how to manage the croplands later on after you do this conversion from forest, for example. Because this top, especially this top layer SOC buildup is also, as if you still remember this turnover time and turnover rate definition in the previous lecture. So actually it depends on how much for example, a plant or crop residue input into the soil. Okay. And also that also depends on like how long or how efficient you're gonna change the microbial activity. Remember? So this the microbes in the soil gonna also increase this SOC accumulation. So I don't have a like exact number for this for this time length, but I would just give some several hints on how you can understand the underlying controlling mechanism on this top layer SOC buildup. Is that okay?
Any feedback, Nata, Anastasia? No. Okay. For the next question, Miss Aura, please come closer. Kameranya di sini atau di sini, dua-duanya bisa. Jadi,
Okay, first of all, thank you for the opportunity.
tidak terlalu sama-sama.
Okay, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Michelle, and I want to ask some question. How can a set of management practice help on farm carbon sequestration while maintaining crop yields and soil quality? Does the law of trade-off not apply in this case? Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just missed the few words that at the end.
Okay, please.
Okay. How can a set of management practice help on farm carbon sequestration while maintaining crop yields and soil quality? Does the law of trade-off not apply in this case?
Okay, her question is about the soil management, like a tillage, crop rotation can maintain
Crop yields and soil quality.
crop yield and soil quality. Also can reduce the greenhouse gases, right? Does the trade-off apply in this mechanism between the soil management and reducing the greenhouse gases emissions? Is that
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great question, and actually that's what I'm going to talk in the next few minutes. So I would especially introduce what special or what particular soil management practices or also farming practices on this for example, carbon sequestration, and also how this gonna affect the agriculture greenhouse gas emissions. I think that's closely related what I'm going to talk in a few minutes. Yeah.
okay?
If you have questions, you can just wait for a few minutes. Yeah.
Okay. And we also have 3 more questions from 3 students. Is it okay? We can continue the discussion, or you will continue the lecture?
I think it's okay. Discussion is more important, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, please come closer. Radil, your questions, please.
Okay. Thank you so much for your for this opportunity. My name is Ragil Mai. So based on the presentation, you say that emission is a huge problem in croplands. But as we know, it's impossible to turn cropland back to forest due to the needs of the populations, like the foods and other benefits from the croplands. So my question is, in agriculture, should we more focus on the production or the emission? because as we know, today's agriculture practice more focused on the production and almost no attention to the emission. Even our government always say that try to pump the production and never mention the cost to the emission. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So that's why we introduced the idea about sustainable agriculture, right? So the first thing we need to make sure is that to maintain the crop production first of all. So that's the very that's the core thing, right? So because we need to the priority is just to meet the increase in food demand. That's the primary function of cropland. But at the same time, if we could like maintain the crop yield and also we could find ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So we have this win-win consequence. So that is our goal. Okay. So I think that is also the idea about how we're gonna address the sustainable agriculture. And that is also the key information I want to emphasize during the two lectures in these 2 days. Yeah, and I think that's achievable. And I will just show several case studies later on to show you how we can mitigate the greenhouse gas emissions, but at the same time we don't disturb we don't lose the crop production at the same time. That's possible. Yeah.
Any feedback, Radu?
Uh,
Okay. Now we are moving to the next question, please. Come closer. Mention your name and say your question. Your topic really interesting because our students have a lot of questions related to your lecture topic. Okay, please.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jackie, for the opportunity. So my name is Silma. Thank you for the opportunity, Ms. Jackie. So as you mentioned before that the current trend in agricultural practice is intensification and extensification, which is minded to increase greenhouse gas emissions. So what I would like to ask you is there any recommendation to maintain the production while preventing land degradation due to the extensive exploitation? Because we know that it's kind of hard in Indonesia to meet the requirement for zero tillage agriculture. Thank you.
Oh, that's a very challenging question to answer, I guess. So, what kind of recommendation is really hard to recommend, honestly, because you know this especially in this tropical area. One thing that I could see is for this current land conversion is mostly convert from this natural wetland to or peatland to cropland. So that is actually one of the land conversion strategy going on. But you can just think of like really depends on what you are growing, and also it's due like currently it's due to maybe due to a lack of like in situ measurements. So we don't really know like for example, how much methane could be reduced, either is reduced or increased. For example, if you convert from a natural wetland to a rice paddy, right? Because both wetland, like natural wetland and rice paddies are stronger CO2 methane emission. But from my understanding, I don't have I don't do any study related in this realm before, so I don't really know how, for example, how this land conversion gonna affect the methane fluxes. And without that information, I cannot really give like a sustainable recommendation for this for your question. So that's in other words, is that if we have more measurements conducted in this area, especially, for example, doing like before conversion and after. Then we can get some idea to quantify what is the actual effects on greenhouse gas emissions, for example, but followed by this land conversion. Yeah. So that's a very, very, very good question. Yeah.
Can I feedback? No, thank you.
Okay, now moving to the next question, please.
Okay, thank you. My name is Lisa. My question is, yesterday you say one of mitigation is reducing carbon emissions. So
Energy efficiency and
Sorry for
yesterday you said that one of mitigation is reducing carbon emissions through energy efficiency and renewable energy source. I want to ask you your opinion about CPO from Indonesia. Do you think it is a renewable energy source that we can use, and especially if it's connected to the carbon cycle?
Okay, CPO means crude palm oil, right? Okay, her question related to the efficiency use of energy, which in Indonesia, some of our energy source from palm oil. Is it sustainable or not, right? Yeah, that's her question.
Well, that's a hard question to answer. So, short answer is, sorry, I don't know. But I can share some of the comments. So if you really want to understand what about how the alternative energy gonna like play a role in this global carbon cycle, I guess maybe you could start investigating in terms of this life cycle analysis. Okay, so basically you estimate like you give an estimate about this carbon emission every chain step in terms of this in terms of the life carbon cycle. For example, how you're gonna use this alternative energy, and what is the like how much carbon can be produced in each step during different stage for certain industry chain, for example. But for your question, that is, I'm sorry, I don't really know the answer.
Thank you, JJ, for your response to our student question. We might continue the lecture and we will have discussion again at the end of this session.
Okay,
Please.
okay. So like do I still have 25 minutes to finish my lecture? Or
Actually, we finish this session at 2:30, and we will have 5 minutes for Q&A. So no worries.
until 3:30, right?
Yeah, your time 3:30 and my here in Indonesia 2:30.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, 2:30. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, in Indonesia 2:30 and in your time is 3:30.
Sure. Then I guess I need to speed up a little bit. But I really
And 5
enjoyed.
minutes for Q&A.
Okay,
We will
I really
finish
enjoyed the
at,
discussion. All right. I guess I can continue to talk about the tillage, different tillage impacts on the soil texture and soil structure, and also the related carbon emission or carbon dynamics. So as you can see, we have this picture shows the no-till planter, chisel plow, and motorboard plow. So basically that represents three farming systems typically applied in the US. For example, first of all, if you apply the no-till practice in the field, basically you just have a very minimum disturbance to the soil. As you can see, we have this the planter will just slice the soil to a narrow space, and seed and even applied fertilizers at the same time. Okay, so that is having minimum disturbance. But if you look at the for example, we also have this conservation tillage applied. So that means you till with the chisel plow, okay, as you can see from this figure, and bearing about like 50% of the crop residue. All right, so that is generally regarded as a conservation tillage, and also and the last one is conventional tillage. So as you can see from this figure, it has a very like the maximum disturbance to the soil. Okay, you change, especially even change the albedo of this cropland as well, and also what the consequence to this soil environment or soil conditions. First of all, you can see based on the no-till practice, it will create like channels that foster root growth, right? And also for the conventional tillage that you can see, we have these granular soil structures, and which can improve this water infiltration and at the same time reduce erosion. Okay. And so which is actually good for maintain the soil condition, the soil quality. But if you look at this like the conventional tillage, like this tillage will disrupt this granular soil structure and forming this large cloth like that actually can limit the root growth, and also can like cause like enhanced soil and also water erosion as illustrated in this figure. So that is gives you some general idea about how this different tillage practices can affect, first of all, the soil conditions in the field. And then we further did some studies to compare how this tillage gonna affect the carbon fluxes in terms of GBP and respiration. Okay, we set up our monitoring system at this two specific site where the only difference is their tillage practice, while they both growing the same crop species. So if we look at the respiration term, we found that the tillage site always have, especially during the growing season, they have larger carbon emissions from the soil, indicated as the right line here. This like elevated soil respiration is also extremely higher right after each rainfall event. Okay, so that means, in other words, the no-till site could result lower carbon emission, and this this inhibition in soil emission is particularly strong in this right after the rainfall event. So which is actually good in terms of mitigating CO2 emission from the agriculture area. And this simple pair study actually have been followed and also approved in many other regions in the world. So, and we also continue this comparison study for different crop rotations, for example, over continuously over 4 years. And we can always see that no matter what crop is growing there, the respiration part is always higher at this conventional tillage site because you disturb the soil to a very high level. So we get some conclusion that the respiration was higher at the conventional tillage site, but their GPP and also crop yield did not differ much between these two paired sites. So actually that is a good thing. And one student was just mentioning how we can we really achieve that like a sustainable goal? And the answer from this specific study is yes. Actually, we find that no-till practice could reduce the CO2 source strength compared to the conventional tillage site. And at the same time, the no-till could also inhibit this birch effect. The birch effect is the just elevated respiration right after rainfall, okay? And at the end, we conclude that the no-till could act as a sustainable farming strategy to help mitigate CO2 emissions from the agriculture, and also at the same time, they can maintain the crop yield. Okay, so that is one example showing how we can address the sustainable farming strategy investigation. And another study is we try to investigate the rain-fed and also irrigation farming. What are these two farming strategy gonna affect the carbon and also carbon budget and also crop yield? So we did this high rainfall, low rainfall versus irrigation side. Also by comparing this GPP respiration, and also we estimate the water use efficiency at the same time. So the interesting part is that we find the irrigated site actually has a relatively higher ecosystem respiration and lost a lot of carbon into the atmosphere compared to the other non-irrigated site. But indeed, this irrigation can produce a very high wheat yield among this. It produced the highest wheat production among the three sites. But if you look at this water use efficiency, this yellow line represents the irrigated site. It causes the lowest water use efficiency. So we further suggest to the local farmers that maybe the irrigation timing and amount could be further improved because in terms of because it can maintain the high production. But if you look at this emission or the respiration term, even right after growing season, the respiration is still high, but which is due to the irrigation is still applying, even though they harvest they harvest wheat from the field. So I guess so in that way, the irrigation event is not really necessary. For example, right after the growing season. So that the timing can be further improved to reduce a little bit of soil carbon emissions. So that is one suggestions we made to the farmer for after this study. And also when we talk about like crop rotation is another common management practices. So, and sorry about this Chinese. So this is showing this how the rotation looks like distributed in China. But the key thing is that why crop rotation is really important is that it can introduce higher crop diversity and improve the pest control by breaking up the otherwise existing the weed and disease or insect cycles. So, and also it can improve and maintain the soil health and also increase crop yield. So just using one sentence here saying about the importance of crop rotation is that we have a better understanding of how developing good soil health takes a comprehensive approach. And it always starts with a diverse crop rotation. So from that, you can see the importance of crop rotation applied in the agriculture ecosystem. And also just say a few words on the benefits of cover crops. So it can increase crop yield, especially you plant the some legume before the cereal or before the cash crop that you are interested in. And it can also help to sequester carbon, okay? And even absorb rain and retain soil moisture at the same time. So, but the cover crop is grown for their for this all environmental benefits and not harvest, as they are not intended for sale or consumption. Okay, so that's the function of cover crops. And it is often planted after the harvest of cash crop or before the planting of the next crop, when the fields would otherwise lie fallow. Okay, and the legume and cereal, some cereals and also grasses and even broadleaf species are considered or sometimes planted as the cover crops. So how this cover crops gonna affect the carbon fluxes? So if you look at this figure, and here we just recorded a very short period of cover crops impact some these carbon fluxes. And as you can see, this is NE. So actually the cover crops can also enhance the carbon uptake by the croplands. So actually it has the like multiple benefits for planting these cover crops. And also, I think I'm gonna spend a few minutes talking about the precision agriculture. So because the idea is simple, because not all of our landscape is equally productive, right? If you look at this like a southwest slope of this like a yellow, this yellowish color in the field, this is a winter wheat field. So what you're gonna do to actually manage this or treat these less productive spots? So then the precision agriculture is just to manage these variations in the field with the goal to maximize the performance and also the environmental quality. So in a very easy way, you just, so for this specific plots, maybe they don't need much fertilizer, okay? So if you want to like optimize from the economic part, you may not want to apply a lot of fertilizer to the specific plots. So that's one of the example of this precision agriculture management. So how people gonna evaluate this spatial heterogeneity across the croplands? So this is an example showing a mobile sensor platform. Like they put some GIS or GNSS receivers into their tractors to actually monitoring or mapping the soil pH, for example, and also to like do this field survey to actually tells you how your soil quality looks like in a certain spot of the entire cropland. And at the same time, we could also use some crop system model in terms of this microbasin model is developed by Washington State University. So actually you can set your field into different like for example no fertilizer zone, medium zone, and actually you simulate the heterogeneous agricultural watersheds with this complex terrain. And it can do a very fine scale simulation introducing this hydrological and nutrient cycle and produce yield and phenology, nitrogen uptake, etc. as the model output. So it can like also do a very thorough investigation on the spatial interactions in the landscape. For example, all this lateral water flows gonna introduce this lateral redistribution of water and also nitrogen. So that is commonly used for precision agriculture, for example, nitrogen management. If you want to, in the previous case, if you want to apply uniform nitrogen versus variable rate of nitrogen, depending on the terrain or the cropland soil quality spatial variations. Okay, so decreasing nitrogen for low yield potential area. So this model can help you for this precision agriculture related study. Okay, so I think just briefly introduce the current ongoing soil atmosphere carbon fluxes in the karst rice paddy in China that my students are currently doing. So actually, this is also like we have a lot of karst area in Indonesia near Malang as well. So and this is another karst rice paddy located in our country in Guizhou province. And we did biweekly soil sampling and CO2 and methane flux measurement at the same time for two contrasting plots that are managed by two different sites of activities. For one side with more fertilizers, but late application of chemicals, but the other side is with apply less fertilizer and early application of the chemicals. So by comparing this, the two sides, the fluxes and also the soil conditions, and even introducing some soil microbial analysis, we actually compared how this two sets of management practices gonna actually affect the CO2 and methane emissions from the karst rice paddy. And the interesting pattern is that as we know that the non-karst rice paddy field, as I illustrated in the previous slides, they are typically a methane source. But from our measurement, we find that from this karst rice paddy, the soil can sometimes take up methane, which is very interesting. So, but we don't really know the underlying mechanisms, but they're just showing an example of a case study about what is really needed in the future and what is really interesting and what are some unknown mechanisms still going on. Okay, so and this is a figure showing how these two sets of management practices gonna affect the soil chemical properties, heavy metal concentration, and how this even the microbial network is quite contrasting compared between these two fields. So yeah, I think that's I want to share with you for during these two lectures. So now question and discussion time again. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jackie, for your interesting lecture. And now we are on the discussion session, and we have a student that will ask the question. Please come closer, mention your name and question. Come closer, please. Yeah, questionnya bisa. Yeah, thank you for your time. I will say my name first. My name is Diana. I would like to ask a question as explained earlier. Changing the natural ecosystem to a cropland has several negative impacts. So how do you respond to this change for community economic reasons? As is the case in Riau, some people depend on agricultural sector on peatland for their income, so they have to do land preparation.
Land preparation, you mean it like a land
like a land clearing. We said like land clearing, conversion
land
from
clearing.
forest to agricultural or maybe plantation, because said she is come from Sumatra, which is mainly the area for palm oil plantation. So that's the question, right?
And the question is, sorry. So the question is about the economic part, right?
The question, changing the natural ecosystem to cropland has several negative impacts. So how do you respond to this change for, especially for community economic reasons, as in the case in Sumatra, mainly in Riau, people depend on agricultural sector in peatland, peatland, the organic soil, for their income. So they have to do land preparation. In Indonesia, we have two season, like rainy season and dry season. In dry season, the organic soil, peatland, mainly really dry and easily to burn. That's the origin of haze disaster back then in 2016 in Indonesia. So how the changing of this natural ecosystem as the community economic depend on the use of that peatland.
How you convince
That's your opinion.
Oh, okay. I mean, so the current trend is convert this oil palm to agriculture, right?
Natural ecosystem to oil palm also to agricultural land, right? Yes.
Oh, okay. So that is basically conversion from this peatland to this commercial ecosystem, right?
Yep.
To increase the economics. I guess well for this commercial ecosystems, so I guess that's also is greatly no matter if it's like in terms of to meet the food demand, also to increase the GDP as well, right? So and how to say what is the impacts, the environmental impacts, well I guess is like really lies in another discipline that relate to this for example this applied economy in that specifically addressing this forestry and also this agriculture that discipline. And because you need to know like what is the actually economic benefits for this land conversion. But for that topic, I don't really have an idea about like how much income would this increase. So and with that that information, I'm not sure I can give a really reasonable comment on this specific question. So yeah. Yeah, but also it depends on the like you change the crop or change the plant species already. I'm not sure what is the dominant species for the previous peatland, for example. And also I think that is a really relevant question to the previous one that one student asked about this for example, I mentioned how methane would change from this natural peatland right after its conversion to the rice paddy. I guess that's a relevant question. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, JT. I think we are running out of time, but we have still a student that wants to ask their question. We have two or maybe more questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Please come closer and mention your name, also your question.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Next question is based on the needs of management practice, precision agriculture is the best practice, but in Indonesia, it's still very minimal. My question is, how can precision agriculture be applied massively and with a shorter time? And in Kars area, what are specific challenges faced in implementing precision agriculture, especially related to the characteristic of like calcareous, infertile, and very dry soil? Thank you.
Okay, let me just repeat your question. So what is how we can like really implement this precision agriculture, right?
Yes.
Precision agriculture. So I guess that's a very good question. So if you I'm not sure if I can turn back to this maybe this slide. So if you have a look at this slide for before you want to apply this precision agriculture, you really need to get a clear picture about this how heterogeneous this soil, this cropland is, right? So how, for example, even though they look homogeneous, just when you look at this this cropland at the first glance, right? But theoretically or like in the real case, they may have this large underneath heterogeneity going on in terms of SOC content, for example, and also this pH and water content. This is particularly important, especially when you don't have when the landscape terrain is complex. So the first thing you need to first of all, get a clear understanding about the variation, the spatial variation of this particular land. And then you can once you have this understanding, then you can just like precision agriculture is just to manage part of the land based on this condition, this like unique conditions. So for example, if we can still use this nitrogen management as an example, okay? For this, for example, for this low yield potential area, if you can estimate like the yield potential within the landscape, then you know where it is high, where it is low, then you just invest this fertilizer smartly, okay? So that is an example about how we're gonna implement this precision agriculture.
Okay. Okay, we still have question from our student Jackie. Please come closer. That way, Mas. Banyak kabel di sini. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Aziz. I have a question, and the question is, some indeed have many solutions in reducing carbon emissions, such as biochar, organic agriculture, agroforestry, and so on. As we know, agriculture industries, such as the palm oil industries, the monoculture plant industry for their production as daily income and must produce more crops for food supply and the needs of workers in the industry. How do we include these strategies such as agroforestry in reducing carbon emissions? Will the main needs of existing agriculture industries focus on crop production?
Okay, thanks for the question. So you are talking about the agroforestry, right?
Yes.
So I think I'm not really qualified to answer this question because agroforestry is widely or thoroughly studied by Professor Cho in your department, right? But I don't really know like how this agroforestry gonna help to increase those to increase the carbon sink already because but I can share some of my understanding previously. So for example, when you plant trees in the croplands, first of all, it will definitely increase the carbon the biomass, right? because the trees typically have higher GBP value, can accumulate a larger amount of carbon than crops than these shorter crops. But think about that at the same time. The trees, if it's not commercial trees, it's just some natural other like tree species, it may compete the nutrients with your crops. So that is like the ongoing or the consequence you need to consider. Then it depends on if you want to harvest trees at the same time, and also depends on the cash value of either trees and crops. So then you consider again, it's like you need to consider many aspects when you want to address the sustainable agriculture in terms of crop productivity, and also the cash crops, and also the cash tree species as well, right? So you need to consider the economic part, and also you need to consider about like their competing mechanisms in terms of nutrient utilization, and also in terms of water use efficiency. So it's not about the carbon sink strength anymore. For the carbon sink strength, you can get a clear picture about how this agroforestry gonna increase the biomass. But at the same time, I'm not sure how this agroforestry gonna affect this carbon emissions comparing to the monoculture croplands. So that is something I don't really understand, and you may have I guess the Professor Cho is the really expert in this field. So, but actually, again, you need to consider this crop production, soil quality, environmental quality, and also greenhouse gas emissions, and also other economic factors into consideration before we address this sustainable agriculture or sustainable agroforestry. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any question? Okay, that's all, Dr. Jackie. Thank you very much for your lecture for today and yesterday lecture. That's really insightful for our students to give them broader insight related to carbon and agriculture. Also, we have a certificate for appreciation for you. Let me share it with you, and please communicate. Be ready to take a picture.
Yeah.
Okay, this is our appreciation for
Oh, thank you. That's really
your
nice.
contribution in this grade 1 lecture.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Hopefully, in the next chance, we can have you in person in our university, in Brawijaya University. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, I really enjoyed the discussions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if you have any further questions, just feel free to send me an email. Yeah, anytime you like.
Okay. Thank you very much. Our student already took note your email when you saw us in the slide. Also, please, we would like to request the lecture note, and we will distribute the lecture note to the student that joining us online, also offline. I do apologize if I have any mistake during this lecture. And see you again in the next agenda. Thank you very much. And now, time for closing. Please, our Master of Ceremony. Or Jackie, would you like to say something to our student?
And no, I just and also thanks everyone for listening, and I think it's good for this communication and discussion opportunity. Yeah. And I honestly, I don't really know the real situation in Indonesia in terms of the sustainable agriculture. So what I can share just based on my previous research study that I did in the US. But yeah, we will, I hope like in the future, we may have more collaborations and exchange more interesting topics or ideas with students and also professors at University of Brawijaya. Yeah, thanks.
We are waiting for you to come in person in Brawijaya, whether as a guest lecturer, also doing research here. See you in the future or maybe in the next short time, and see you. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye, guys.
Yeah, thank you. See you.
Okay, before we end this guest lecture, let me remind you all, don't forget to fill the attendance list. Please write your name correctly because the form will directly send the certificate to your email. Thank you to our guest lecturer, Dr. Jin Suchi, for giving us your time despite on your busy schedule. It's an honor for us. Thank you to the moderator and all participants. We hope today's agenda will be beneficial to all who attend. Thank you so much for your attention. See you on the next occasion. Have a good day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
How about taking picture? I mean,
Yes.
taking picture in our monitor. Okay. Diri di kampus, please. Yeah. Our student.
Please, everyone, to open the camera.
Okay, please open the camera for student who joining us online. Okay, cheese. Okay. Thank you very much. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Sudah.